Just following up on what Senator Romney and you were just discussing, I think this is an important moment for bold vaccine diplomacy by the United States. We have long been a world leader in public health. We have, because of the efforts of this administration and the previous one, developed the world-leading, most effective vaccines because of President Biden's relentless focus on vaccinating the American people. We're now at the threshold of 70% vaccination in a number of states, and I do think it's time for bold vaccine diplomacy. What more could we be doing in the Senate on a bipartisan basis to send a strong signal of support for taking decisive steps? I think the announcement last week was terrific. What I heard in both Taiwan and South Korea, as well as from other countries, was very encouraging. But what else would be helpful for you to hear from Congress about this initiative?
Thank you for putting a spotlight on that, because I could not agree more with you, with Senator Romney, on the importance of this, and also honestly, the opportunity to show our leadership. So I think the next most important step beyond the vaccines that we have available to share is increasing significantly production capacity in the United States as well as in other parts of the world. If we stay on the current trajectory in terms of the vaccines produced and the pace at which they're being administered, we're not going to get to global herd immunity, roughly 70%, as you know very well, until 2024. That's unacceptable, or at least it should be. We do, I believe, especially if we manage to significantly increase production and then share that production, we can get there a lot faster. So I think, I think the president will be coming back to you on this, in the relatively near future, things that we can do to boost production.
As you know, I had a hand in the BUILD Act and in standing up the DFC. Yeah. I think it's a tool that, in partnership with some of our key allies, could be critical. While in South Korea, I had a number of conversations about vaccine partnership in terms of manufacturing. Would be excited to work with you on this. Let me move on to the questions that have been raised a number of times today about the Northern Triangle. I'll add to that the Sahel. Two areas of the world where we've got significant fragility, a band of several states in West Africa, a grouping of 3 states in Central America, where corruption, impunity, widespread insecurity, the impacts of climate change are having a dramatic impact. The Global Fragility Act is a bill that was signed into law that Senator Lindsey Graham and I worked hard on, that provides a framework for accountability, for metrics, and for a State Department-led partnership between state, USAID, and DOD on dealing with fragility. How do you see the Global Fragility Act framework being relevant to places like the Sahel or the Northern Triangle, and how can that help focus the difficult work the Vice President is currently leading in terms of investing in stabilizing 3 very difficult and troubled, 3 countries that have a very troubled current status, but where successfully stabilizing them is essential to our security and stability as well?
A couple of things. First, thank you for mentioning the Sahel, and thank you for your work there as well. I think we have a deep concern about spreading instability in the Sahel. We have roughly 20 million people who are in need in that area: Burkina Faso, Chad, Mali, Niger, Mauritania. And that, of course, becomes a breeding ground for violent extremism, as we've seen. We are partnered with a number of other countries to act on countering violent extremism, on governance, on humanitarian. We're the largest humanitarian donor in the neighborhood, as you know. In March, we had an additional $80 million or so. But to the more specific point, I think the Global Fragility Act is a very important vehicle for us to be able to advance this work. The budget request that we have before you includes $185 million to help implement the Global Fragility Act. There's $125 million for the Prevention and Stabilization Fund. I think $25 million above the FY21 enacted budget. $60 million for the Complex Crises Fund, which there is, I think, roughly $30 million above the FY21 enacted. So the resources would support the actual implementation the act to try to do what you set out to do, which is to actually anticipate and prevent a conflict, because an ounce of prevention, right, beats a pound of cure. But also to support these inclusive, locally driven political processes to try to stabilize some of these conflict-ridden places, work with our external partners, improve and integrate our capabilities. So right now where we are is we're finalizing the selection of 5 priority countries or regions based on our assessment of the data, the opportunity for impact, and national security priorities. And we're doing that across the administration with the relevant departments and agencies. And then as we get that settled, we want to come to you and consult on that, share our thinking, and then refine it and go to the president for final approval.
Wonderful. Last question. I don't mean to seem churlish, because you've just dedicated a huge amount of time to testifying in front of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, House Appropriations, Senate Appropriations, and the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. But in the context that many of us have worked in, your 2 predecessors appeared once. And we had enormous difficulty getting them back to testify in front of Foreign Relations or Appropriations and to engage around their budgets. That was at a time when they were proposing dramatic cuts in spending. I'm very encouraged by the budget that the administration's putting forward for the State Department, for AID, for a number of other critical international functions. Can we count on you to come back, because you are such a good advocate for the State Department, as someone who served for decades here in the Senate and in foreign policy? I just want to make sure that we're going to have another opportunity for you to engage with the Appropriations Committee and Foreign Relations Committee as we try and enact a robust budget that meets the needs of this moment.
I'm committed to engaging this committee as well as the appropriations committees in a whole variety of ways, whether it's in hearings, in private conversations, in individual conversations. I made a commitment to the chairman during the confirmation process that I would do that, and I'll be held to that.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary.
Thank you. And to the Secretary's credit, he has kept his word on that. Senator Portman is with us.